Social media platforms have changed so rapidly and do change so rapidly over courses of weeks, months, years is like a huge stretch. One interesting thing to note is that it used to be more significant. It used to matter more to creators how many followers you had. Now that has turned into much more of a vanity metric. Why do I say that? Because pretty much all platforms, I think at this point, no longer show your content to your followers. They
Which
have
is so
different
weird.
algorithms, I know. But now that's very challenging when people say, well, you have X amount of followers. Why do your videos have only this view or what? And it's because
Why, hello, BizFit. It is I, Melody, your lady of business. And today I am talking with Jenn Beaupre, otherwise known as Rozette. That's her stage name. She is an amazing vocal coach, singer, performer. She's really popular in Asia right now. It's an interesting story, but also I met her in a very weird way. And we talk about that in this episode. I'm not even going to go into too many details because I think you're just going to enjoy the conversation. So let's just get into it. Here's my conversation with Jenn Beaupre. Hello, business human. I am your lady of business, Melody Edwards. Welcome to the Business Misfits podcast. Awesome. Well, welcome. I'm happy you're here. Really, the first question I always ask everybody is, do you feel like you are a business misfit?
wow, that is kind of a hard question. Yes, yes, yes is the answer. And I'm going to give you the because. It feels like to be wildly successful in business, there is somewhat some formula. And I feel like I sort of refuse to follow it, which is sort of a sad statement I've just made, right? I've said to be wildly successful, you have to do this. I won't do it. But I think that while we all want to be wildly successful, we also all want to be wildly happy and wildly free and wildly excited about the thing that we're doing. I don't know. Do you think it's possible? I'm gonna put this back to you.
Yeah, you just gave the definition that I would. Like, I am somebody who I actually don't believe that anymore. I do think there are things in business that you should know. I don't necessarily believe that it's a step-by-step process for success because that's what I was sold for a long time. And I've really chased the understanding the business formula thing. And what I found in the end is that nobody really knows what they're doing. They understand how other people have done it. And there's so many different ways to do it.
You know what? I think there is some standard formula
Yeah.
type stuff, but filling in those blanks is a very unique process
Mm-hmm.
for each of our
Yeah.
businesses.
Well, you have to be creative. I think of business misfits as people, like there's so many definitions for me. I think business sounds very serious. It's very based on transactions, money, and for me, I really feel a sense of purpose in the work that I do. I want money. And also, I don't think I can do it just like otherwise I'd have a job in some corporate world and it would be fine. For me, I need that purpose. I want to help people. I want to have a legacy. Like there's a lot of other things that go into it. I think you are definitely a misfit.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that people go into business for lots of different reasons, and they're all good reasons. Making
Yeah.
money is a good reason. Having a legacy is a good reason. Because you enjoy doing the thing you do is a good reason. All of the above is even better.
Yeah.
But I think how we stack those things that I just listed kind of determines how we run at it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I want to talk about how you've been in business a long time, the business of your voice and teaching people how to have, like, I think of you as a voice, but really you're more of a vocal teacher and instructor. You're both things, but people might know you because of your vocal instruction. What would you say that you're known for in your business world?
Depends who's looking.
Yeah.
Because I've been building my career for a quarter of a century.
Mm,
And in that time, there's people who have gotten to know me as an artist, as a coach, as a
mm,
speaker, as cheerleader of all things vocal. So it depends how you kind of came into my world.
And a songwriter
Yeah.
as well. Yeah. And I haven't talked to a lot of people who have come from the creative side of work. And
Mm.
so the fact that you've been able to make your living off of your art in a way, even though it's not fully off of your art necessarily, like your songs all the time or whatever, but that's like really magical that you have been able to do the thing that you really love and make your living off of it.
I'm glad you said that because that used to be a pain point that
Really.
I almost felt like I can't say that I'm in my passion, I'm not making money the right way to say
Mm,
that I'm doing the thing. If it's not off of being a touring artist on stage, singing your own songs, which are on the radio, then I failed. I
yeah.
failed. But what I have actually made not just peace with, but sometimes love with, is that I get to run around talking about the thing I love, sharing it with people who are wildly excited about the thing that I love, lifting people up, showing people their own body, their own sparkle, their own magic, all while also being able to have my own sparkle witnessed sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's a
Yeah.
fun package.
Well, I will say I met you on the internet and I was
Here's to the
just,
internet.
yeah, this is the internet. I met you there. I found you there. You came across my TikTok at some point or something. And I was just enthralled by the way that you teach vocal technique. And it's so simple, and you break down really complicated things into very simple form, which is how my brain handles it best. And so I reached out to you to get a voice lesson, and then you did not reach back out to me for quite a while.
Ugh, you're revealing all my dirty secrets. Go on.
Well, it's not though. It's like it's kind of amazing because so many artists, when you're doing this thing in any business, you reach a point if you're the person who does the thing, like you teach the lessons or there's a point where you reach capacity and you
Mm.
can't also answer the emails and do all the other parts of business. And it was really cool. I swear that I've never done that before, but I
That's
just really, and I was like, she is going to think I'm insane. But I don't know what I even said. What did I say to you, Jenn, in that email?
You sent a Loom video, and I will tell you that you were
Mm,
a breath of fresh air and such relief, even though I didn't believe because you
mm,
were telling me, like, hey, I can help you with this. And I was like, probably not, but I love that someone thinks so. But I also just want to say that you came into my world when my online traffic was really accelerated.
mm,
So my business had been building for, simmering
yeah,
for many years. And then I made one TikTok video about coaching. And I don't know, like, Papa Algorithm smiled upon me on that fateful day
yeah,
in 2021. And that video just had such great reach. But that means that the systems I had set up were very not going to work with the
yeah,
amount of traffic. Mel, was my schedules were in my top drawer that I printed out at the beginning of each week by filling little names into a template on iMac Pages program. And I did not use Google Cal. I didn't have systems. I
yeah.
just was like, oh, this person wants to sing this week. I'll put them into this 3:30 spot.
Well, you
And
had
then
systems. They worked for only you, though. They weren't going to be
mhm.
expandable.
Yeah. Well, and I also spent a good chunk of my career coaching mostly in person locally,
Mm,
which is fine. There's a magic to that too. There's something really rooted and really wonderful about being integrated in the community that way. But I have to also admit that interacting with people internationally is real fun. And
yeah,
I love working with people with different accents and just like it's been a blast. But you're right. They couldn't get onto my Pages calendar
yeah.
with me data entering them and not the emails my life changed because of TikTok for sure.
I think and I don't know how far after. I don't even know at what point between the time I wrote you how long that had been going on. But I think it took you a couple weeks to get back to me. Did it take a week or two?
Oh, more of probably a
Yeah,
month.
because
Yeah.
but the funny thing is you in my view, you were so professional. You were like probably unattainable for me to get a lesson. That's how I felt. And I
You've
bet you
said
that's
this.
how but it's true. You probably don't see it that way because you're you, but because you were online and visible in a different way, and I didn't know you or anything, I just assumed, wow, I want to at least try. It would be like my dream to get her to listen to my voice, which is somewhat my insecurity as well. I've had a lot of things with singing, but I'm also like you, I'm stubborn and I want to push through the pain and figure it out, even if it's uncomfortable. But you did finally get back to me. And I was also really underwhelmed by your pricing. I think back then I thought you were
Yeah.
undervaluing. And this happens in business. It's happened to me so many times. When you've been trotting along for so long, you kind of go with what's worked in that scenario. And then suddenly you had this thing happen, this explosion, and you were still using the old things. Your mind was still there, but you were in a different place.
Yeah, it was a really interesting supply and demand. Like I learned for reals how supply and demand works. Like
Yeah.
I watched it unfold, and as I adjusted my price, I found the thresholds where it was still too much,
Yeah.
and I was able to kind of play with that. But I'm kind of going to go sideways from what you were saying. But
Sure.
the algorithms on social media platform are forever changing,
Yeah.
and when you are an online creator and service provider, which is still part of what I do, you are kind of sort of at the whim of algorithms. Now, I'm not saying that it is not my responsibility to find out new and exciting ways to engage people. It is my
Is it?
responsibility as a creator.
Is it?
Yeah, yeah. If you want
Yeah.
eyeballs and algorithm, it is. But all I'm saying is that the algorithm and the quality of your content and that whole magic can really dial the knob up and down rapidly of the traffic coming into your
Mm.
world. So that's just a factor that anybody else out there, I'm sure, will be like nodding their head
Oh,
because
me
it's a
too.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, and what I learned, I'm not good at, I mean, okay, I need to stop saying I'm not good. I am weaker in the areas of digital marketing because that's not something I ever had to do. It was very organic for me. So it's taken me a long time to understand that you do things like create things that people have to sign up for so that you can get their email address so that when the algorithm changes, you are
You're
not
ready.
beholden to
Mhm.
them. And
Oh yeah.
I have not practiced that very well. I mean, I'm way better now, but that's not a normal, natural thing that we would think of as human. Like that's marketing. So the fact that you are doing the thing you love, but then you also have to learn and figure out all of these other things. Plus, you have to be a digital marketing expert in a way as a content creator. That's like a lot to,
It's overwhelming.
yeah.
Yep. It's really overwhelming, but it is a very exciting game to
Hmm.
play if you're willing to kind of bob and weave. But
Mm.
social media platforms have changed so rapidly and do change so rapidly
Yeah.
over courses of weeks, months, years is like a huge stretch. One interesting thing to note is that it used to be more significant. It used to
Yeah.
matter more to creators how many followers you had. Now that has turned into much more of a vanity metric. Why do I say
Mm.
that? Because pretty much all platforms, I think at this point, no longer show your content to your followers. They
Which
have
is so
different
weird.
algorithms, I know. But now that's very challenging when people say, well, you have X amount of followers. Why do your videos have only this view or what? And it's
Yeah.
because you're not showing my 700,000 followers my video. Now, I'm not saying they would or wouldn't like it, but you're also not showing them. And they've
Yeah.
expressed that they want to see it, but you're
Right.
still not showing them. So that's challenging.
What do you think the game is in that? Like, why do you think they change? Like, to me, if I want to see your content and if it's not coming up, I assume you're not making it because otherwise, since I'm following you,
Mhm.
it should come up.
Yeah. As a creator, it's so crazy when someone says in the comment section, "Oh, I'm so glad you're making content again. I've really missed seeing you." And I'm like,
Right.
"Holy fuck, I've been posting 3 times a week for the But I think that it is money. I think that it is the
Yeah.
platforms wanting to monetize everywhere they can.
Mm.
So that's free, right? If
Yeah.
they're showing us to these 700,000 people, that's really lovely, not free marketing. We've kind of earned it,
Yeah.
I believe we've earned it for real.
Yeah.
But for them, they're like, "Oh, no, you have to pay to show anybody. Oh, they followed you?
Right.
Doesn't matter. You still have to pay to show them now.
So, are
Now
you
we've got
playing that
you."
game? Are
No,
you? Yeah.
no,
I've
not at this
I've
time,
even
no.
shied away from that because I on my TikTok account when I really was trying for a while. And I only tried really hard for 30 days and then I got it to like 7,000 followers. But I was really consistent. And then it never went higher than like 7,600 for like 2 years.
Well, it's
And
hard.
it's hard. And then I was like, well, why am I even bothering with this? Like
But let me
nobody
tell you
sees it.
though,
Yeah.
keep in mind, yes, to what you just said, it is like exhausting considering 4 people see it or whatever.
Right.
But also my following, but actually both my followings for 2 different reasons. But my following on TikTok and my following on Instagram both grew so rapidly in a lump sum
Mm,
that is also difficult because when people come into your world for one reason, they don't have a big picture of what it is that you do. So
right.
you can really be susceptible to unfollows or people being like, who is this? What is this?
Yeah.
Why did I follow this person? So it's the social media is wild,
Yeah.
a wild west of business.
It is. And I'm always wondering, like, who's the actual expert that I should be following and learning about this from, which is probably the social media company itself. Because there's always people in marketing who are like, I am the expert at this thing. I know
Kinda.
exactly.
But
Yeah.
they also their
They're not,
perspective is also skewed.
yeah.
Like, if you follow What's His Noodle, that's the What's His Noodle of Instagram, he does go in his stories and answer a lot of questions, which can be helpful, but as a creator that's really interacting with the app, some of his
Mm,
answers, it's like, "That's really not our experience, but thank you
right.
for that." So, I think
Got
there
it.
are some really great experts. There actually really are. But it really depends on what's your niche, what's the competition like in your niche,
Right.
what are the copyright liabilities in your niche, what like, it's all different.
Well, and you are focused. I wasn't. That was one thing. I didn't want to focus on one specific thing at that time. And so that is not always a good thing.
Well, I
Because they
don't want to,
say,
Mel. I
yeah,
wanna talk about, like, I wanna talk about my dating life, I wanna talk about, like, funny shit I see, but I
should that
have
be another channel?
I am starting to think that I need to include it on my current channel, especially considering they're not showing my stuff to our stuff, each of our stuff to our
Yeah.
followers anyway.
Yeah,
So
I
it's
think you
kind of like,
should.
yeah, maybe mix it up a little bit because 'cause you're just talking to whoever is watching that video.
Yeah. And the majority of your videos, what do you usually focus on?
Vocal coaching and my vocal performance, which is tied into vocal coaching. So I like to demonstrate techniques and explain what I'm demonstrating. I really like making coaching videos, but
Yeah.
in 2021 and 2022, they were getting a lot of traction. I've even recycled some of those videos and they
Yeah.
just don't get views now. So,
Interesting.
people's taste changes. I personally think these apps are always kind of steering people in different directions.
Yeah. Well, singers
Mm,
are very passionate about singing and learning to
mhm,
sing better. I don't
mhm.
think that's changed. I'm guessing that the audience, like you said, has changed.
Yeah, and I think it matters who's watching your content, and you gotta remember that all the apps this is a strange conversation. I apologize for kind of going down the social media
No, I
road,
love
but
this stuff because this is what people also need to know in business.
well, apps are in the business of lifting up creators who keep people on the apps long.
Hmm.
So they will steer people in the direction of where they're going to hang out a long time.
Mm.
So if they don't think that you are that person, they're not going to prioritize your content. Whether they're right or wrong, I don't know. They are smart. Like AI
Yeah.
algorithms are pretty smart.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is strange. I've actually posted a video that had 2.2 million views on Instagram and I reposted it and got 11,000 views.
Wow.
The same piece of content. Like, yes, people's taste changes and people's whatever, the zeitgeist
Yeah.
kind of changes, but that's drastic.
Yeah, that's
Drastic.
drastic. And it means
Mhm.
I mean, you don't even know who's seeing. Do you know who's seeing your stuff? Because I don't. I wouldn't know how to look.
Yeah, I mean, you can see what region they're in, what age they
Yeah.
are, details kind of a little bit about who they are, but I will say that's one of my failures is I've never really wanted to look
Yeah.
too much into that only because I just wanna make what I think is important, and that's a shortcoming of mine. I
Wait, no, it
just
is not. I do not agree with that. That
well, it
is not a
depends how you
failure.
look at it.
Well,
Depends how you
it's a
look at it.
weaker area. None of us are good at everything. Like you should be doing only the things you're strong at to begin with and then have somebody else deal with that stuff for you or learn it, because that's not
Mhm.
something if you're not interested in it, it's like taking away your energy. I'm a
It
big
is,
believer
but
in,
you would save your energy if you were potentially targeting the people who want to hear what you have to say. So it's like it's
true.
a little bit of a cycle.
Yeah.
But I am stubborn in that when I am interacting with clients, when I
Mm-hmm.
am coaching people and I see what is elevating someone or lots of people or changing people's lives or the way they move in their body or their voice, that's the stuff I'm excited to talk about. Whether
Yeah.
it translates or not, or I'm just like, this is what people need to know. And that can be a difficult thing for service provider creators because we know what
Yeah.
actually changes people's lives, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not always in a 30-second
Yeah.
because that's your responsibility as a content creator is to give you a 30-second shot that's gonna woo. But the
Yeah.
good juicy stuff isn't always 30 seconds long.
I'm not good. I just thought again, because I did start another page focused more on business and I mean, Business Misfits on TikTok. But then I spent a bunch of time last year just talking about my hysterectomy, and that got a lot of views because nobody
Oh,
was
I
talking about
bet.
it.
I
And then I
bet.
was like, oh, but that's not business. But also, I really want to talk about this thing because I wish I had known more. And thousands of comments and people just, really trying to understand for themselves and what they were about to go through, or is what they're experiencing normal? I don't know. I'm just telling you what I experienced.
People tap
So,
into passion easily. I mean,
yeah,
and you're also talking to half the world's population with your thing.
totally.
That
Yeah.
affects half the world's population, or that topic touches, so
Yeah.
that's great that you did that.
I think it's a crazy amount of people. Like 1/3 of every woman is going to have a hysterectomy before
Oh,
60, which is
wow.
crazy because if it's that big, why do we not know about these things? Well, just because
Perimenopause, I think
that
are we the first generation talking
yes,
about perimenopause? Because I've never
yes,
heard this term until,
no,
like, a few years ago, and now it's
yeah.
everywhere, and I think that we're the first people to kind of pop the cherry of saying these things,
Well,
like,
and we're
actually
angry. I'm
well,
mad. I'm mad that nobody told me.
I'm mad too because we were told that menopause is challenging. We
Right.
we we generally were. Even that's been kinda quiet,
Yeah. It was
but
like
we're more aware of that.
this one moment when suddenly everything is over, right?
Yes, but, like, your late 30s and early 40s, your
Yeah.
whole world is, like, zubada zubada crazy, but nobody said it would be or nobody's explaining it. Nobody
No.
warned, there's no th well, there is now. There actually
Well,
is a lot more stuff now.
thank you to TikTok and
Yes,
social media. I
yes,
mean, that's really what it was. And I think it was
yes,
post-pandemic, it really became very popular because we women were talking to each other. And
yeah.
I think that I'm really grateful for social media for that kind of conversation so that I can talk about this on a podcast and I'm not like embarrassed about it or something.
Dude, social media is the best worst thing ever.
Yeah, it is.
It's
It
it
really
really is
is.
the coolest worst thing.
Well, one of the other questions I always like to ask, there's only two of them really, but it's, do you struggle with imposter syndrome?
Has anybody ever said no?
Yes.
Really? Who are
Yes.
these people?
They're very confident and also maybe a little spectrumy.
Mm.
I think that matters.
Mm, maybe, but I also have a theory that we're all a little spectrumy.
Well, we are. All of us are. I would say more spectrumy.
Yeah, fair. Yeah,
Yeah.
fair. Although sometimes I look at my life and I'm
Mhm.
like, "Oh, I have never been okay with touching velvet." And every
Is
time somebody
anybody?
I think so. Some people like touching soft things. Like
Okay.
weird sounds and noises make me like
Yeah.
light my hair on fire and run out of a room. And I
Yeah.
think we all have those sensitivities. And I
We
think
do.
that,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, that's not your question.
The
Yes.
yes.
The answer is yes. Imposter syndrome is legit. I think many musicians, creatives, business people, like I'm kind of surprised anybody has said no. Who are they? What do they do? Your people. I'm
Yeah,
serious.
I mean, usually it's gonna be somebody who's coaching. I mean, I can only think of a couple times. Most everybody says yes if they're my people. And it's not because I want them to not. I would love it. I love it when somebody says no, but I have to say there's something special about them. It's
Hmm.
not the ego, it's something else that's special.
Oh, that's a superpower, Mel. Yeah, that's a full on superpower. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, like, how do you deal with it? Because you are so confident in your presentation and your videos, like everything about you exudes accidental confidence, if it's that, but you just really are confident.
There are pieces of me that are really confident because I'm really excited about what I do and I've done it a long time and I'm really explorative and really curious and I love connecting with people and I'm always learning. But I will say that something I've used, and I think that there's an argument that this is not healthy and there's an argument that this is healthy, but I do try and keep my nose in my own business.
Mm,
And that is something that I took on several years ago because it's very easy to drown in all the other people accomplishing all the things and knowing all the things and achieving
yes.
all the things. And that, my success or wherever I am on my journey, I do have to keep in mind that it has nothing to do with other people's success and their journey. And we're all like doing our thing, but I don't need to always stare at everyone's.
I have gotten into the habit of hiding people for 30 days at a time, that when I
Mhm.
can't see when they're doing, because it really does affect me, and it's
Me
not
too.
jealousy, it's none of that stuff. I just know that I am on a wave of emotion every day. When you're a creative person, you have that high and you can do anything, but there's also the crash that comes at times, for me at least. And so I kind of protect myself from that by just giving myself time off and then doing it again, you know?
I think I will say that sometimes at the least, I'm distracted by it. And
Yeah.
at the worst, I am jealous of it. It's a gross thing to say out loud, but
No,
both of those things aren't
mhm.
productive.
No,
But I do think there's something to be said about celebrating each other where and when possible.
I agree with that.
Where
Yeah.
and when possible.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's the best thing you can do is keep your eyes on your paper sometimes.
Yeah. What I do know is that people are great at presenting things online. And one of the things that some people really like about me and some people don't respect about me, I would say, is that I'm really pretty honest and open and vulnerable all the time. So when I feel weak about something, or if I feel like this is not my strength, I talk about it because I know everybody goes through those moments. Unfortunately, the audience that I'm selling to in my world tends to be male, and they don't relate to that as much because that's not a
Because it's
front that,
emotional. Mhm,
yeah, it's emotion, and they're more fact and data and stuff.
mhm,
So I think I've struggled with that, but I also don't not want to be myself. So it's
totally.
something, you know,
It's interesting. Oh, there's so many places I wanna go with what you just said, but I equate what you said kind of to the left, I'll say. For example, when I first started making content, I would use a lot of terminology, as we all do in our own field, as
yeah.
we have come to learn it or use it. But in my world, when you use terminology like mixed voice, head voice, belting, whatever, passaggio, these words, people either don't care or they get
Mm,
extremely wrapped up in the exact definition if you're using it right. Now, the
right,
funny thing is, to me, I'm trying to serve you. This is some free advice for you that you can scroll past or not scroll past. But there's some personality types who want to have pissing contests in the comment section if that word is being used exactly how they have been taught that word.
right.
So I kind of equate this to what you said because different brains receive
Hmm.
marketing and information differently. Now, those people, the pissing contest about terminology people, they might be singers, but they're probably not my ideal
No,
person. And I've learned from that it's best anyway to not worry about being so professional and use words that I use, words that
yeah,
matter to me. Like if you want to explore what a twinkly sound might be like, I'm your person,
that's why you're
you
my
know?
person. Yeah, because that's the language I would use, is like, that twinkly sound that you can make with your voice, like that's literally what people like me. I'm musical for sure, but I don't always remember the terminology. Why,
Yeah,
thank
but and
you.
I would argue again, my people, terminology, sperminology. Like
Yeah, we don't
I
care about that. I just want to understand.
totally, if I say to you, hey, we need to make sure that your riffs are cut with a razor's edge. Or I would say, yo, man, you sound a little mushy, mushy, poo poo. Everything's sort of blurring into the next thing. It's a little bit drunk. Let's see if we can straighten that out. That's my language. And I've
Yeah,
learned that if I speak that language, I call in,
you attract your people. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and that might be why. you make it so easy to understand. It's not for everybody. It's for people like me, or people who have a love of understanding. Like from when you did coach me, you actually changed my voice very quickly. You changed my perception of my voice because I'm somebody who always needs some level of validation from an expert. Otherwise, I don't believe it, right?
That is really helpful feedback. And you actually did touch my practice in a really important way. In that, when people would come to me, like yourself, and in your realm where singers are already really highly functional, because I cut my teeth on beginners, which
Mm,
many coaches or teachers do as they are kind of coming up.
yeah.
So I cut my teeth on beginners. So when people started to come to me who were either very talented or had all
Mm,
the raw materials or anything around that, coming back to your question, the imposter syndrome would come back where I would be like, how am I supposed to help this
yes.
person? They already sound kind of great, or, they're already
Hmm.
in the pocket. Like, what could I offer this person? And you were one of the people in that chunk of time that reminded me that not everybody needs do, re, mi. Not
Yeah.
everybody needs to learn how to cut a riff. Some people need to be one of my core needs, as I've established with my coach recently, is witnessing. I need
Hmm.
to be witnessed, and I need to have the opportunity to witness others. And I know that many people have this need and don't even often know they have this need. But on additionally, what you said, because you viewed me as an expert or a knowledgeable person,
Hmm.
it mattered to be witnessed and
Yeah.
validated. But validated is even not even the right word. Just,
I like the word
yeah,
witness. Sounds a lot
witnessed.
nicer than
Yeah, witnessed.
validation. Sounds like I'll never like believe in my own ability, or I just always feel like, yeah, it does. And it's also like I know that I have a good voice, but I always
Mhm.
really struggled before with that, the fright, the stage fright, I call, And I think, I mean, I've done so much work on it over the years, but singing one to one was always very hard for me. And even like, I don't sing in front of my husband or my kids.
Even
I'm a
now?
sing. Yeah, well, I'm also not singing a lot right now, which I should be. But I have no problem for some reason now going and, standing in front of a stage and singing at a funeral or whatever, because I do
That's
more
good.
of that kind of stuff. And it doesn't scare me anymore. But, it's always a work in progress. But I think the other thing that you really helped me with was the mind stuff, that I don't think I understood how much mind stuff is involved with being a singer. And I don't even remember, Jen, was it like I called it my head and my chest voice, but I don't think that you called
Thick
it the
and
same
thin,
thing.
whatever you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really struggled to find those places, and I would strain my voice or whatever it was as I was trying to find my higher voice.
I don't really think you did. I don't really
Oh,
think
well,
you did. I think that
what did I
you were
do?
unsure. I think that you were
Yeah.
just unsure if the thing was working. And when we're unsure, we resist
Mm,
ourselves. And then things get uncomfortable when we're resisting
yeah.
just whatever's happening. There's been singers that have sat in front of me, like yourself, who are absolutely gorgeous, like yourself, who even say things to me like, well, this other coach told me I'm not breathing well, and therefore I know I'm not breathing well, and this is wrong, and this is wrong. And I witness them, and I'm like,
Mm,
do you feel broken? Do you sound broken? Because it looks and sounds and feels good to me. And they're like, what? But someone said I was broken.
right. Well, we're the people who trust the experts. Like we want to. And the problem is, and I've learned this over the past couple of years, is that there are anybody who acts very confident and knows something about you that you're not seeing, maybe, they are not the expert. Like we are the experts on ourselves, really. And sometimes other people can tell us they're the expert or that they know something. But in the end, it comes down to us. And we're just getting like input from other people when we want it that we can take in. I don't think, like last year, I really came to the realization like I already know a lot of stuff. I know too much stuff. I don't need to know any more stuff. This year is all about, I called it unlearning, but really it's discernment, discerning
Mm.
what's important to keep, what's not. And so working with somebody like you were giving me input of, you were giving me that.
I just want to reiterate using our voice is for everyone. And whether we're using it in speech or communication or casually or in song, everybody wants to feel like the biggest, most clear, most exciting, most connected version of themselves. And you are a great example of someone who is and was, but had a question mark. And that could be from something internal, or that could be, I can't remember, forgive me, but that could also be from something that has happened to us or something that was said to us. I can't remember. Was that your experience?
I don't know. I can't even remember anymore. But there was probably something. Nobody told me I was a bad singer at any point, but
You might have, or you
I
might have witnessed someone's witnessing of you and interpreted their, their, however they reacted as
my
something
parents were both singers, and my dad was very much a singer. And so I think
right.
that always was something. Some kids might just be able to go with it. For me, I was somebody who really was
Hashtag
shy.
A-type. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was very shy, and also, anyway, that's what it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean,
That's where it started.
people will come to me and be like, hi, I just love singing so much, but I can't do it. When I was in grade 6 in the Christmas pageant, the teacher told me that I was really out of tune and to just say watermelon, watermelon while everybody else sang. And ever since then, I just know I'm really bad. And whatever that person's ability is at that point is almost irrelevant to the first fact that they don't feel like they should have permission to use their voice. So I love what I do, in that it is all about empowering people to use something that is theirs. And sometimes we forget that we have that tool.
Why do you think people
In the West?
Yeah, in the West. I shouldn't say Canadians. I'll just say Americans for now. You are Canadian, though, which is why I keep mentioning Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think it is that we are willing to speak with our speaking voice and less willing to sing with our singing voice? It's very separate to us. It's two separate things. Whereas we've talked about the Philippines, when I visited there, the thing that surprised me the most was everybody sings and everybody loves singing, and they acknowledge those two voices almost as, I think of it as one. It's just a part of who they are.
So I don't know. I have a guess, but I actually will be curious enough to look into this as I state my guess. Okay. Here in the West, you and I are of similar age. We came up in a similar generation. And can you verify, I'm Canadian, you're American, but can you verify that when we were young, we were kind of taught that classical music is the foundation of singing? Not speaking, not pop, but classical music. Mm-hmm. And when we use our voice in classical music, it is a lot bit different than where we speak. So that kind of created a general disconnect in many people's minds and hearts of how their voice is used musically and how their voice is used in day-to-day speech, life, crying, grieving, yelling at your dog, lovingly. So I think I would wonder if in the Philippines, they maybe didn't do such a heavy lean into classical music. I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong. But I think that factor here in the West was a big thing. And there's still a school of thought that pop coaches and pop singers get a lot of pushback on. Classical music is the foundation of all things, and you need to have classical music. But classical vocals sit in a place that is different than where we speak. Right. I don't speak like this. I don't speak like this, right? I'm like rooted here. And when I sing pop, I'm in the same place. Whoa. Yeah. It's all the same place in pop. Not all. There's of course many shades of gray, but I think that the push into classical music made people see those things really differently.
As disconnected. Interesting. I wouldn't have thought of that. And now I think we both need to research this point. Because there's probably a lot of places in the world where people, well, it's also cultural too. Like singing is very joyful in other places. We're not
here. It's more competitive. I don't know if you looked at, like, if we're just looking at the West
maybe
versus the Philippines, but it's definitely not something that we've done quite as socially. And when I've been in Asia, it's very like there are karaoke. I'm not even going to say bars.
They invented it.
Palaces.
Yes.
Oh yeah. These places are like Caesar's Palace in Vegas, but it's karaoke. You can have like
Yes.
beautiful meals, and there's like microphones with little like condoms on them so you can share them sanitarily, with giant televisions and
Yeah.
goblets to drink out of. It's very celebrated in a different social way. And this is just
Yeah.
my experience. I also, to be fair, have never really engaged in social singing in the West because I've always pursued it as a career. So,
Mm.
but I still think that it is a different perception.
It is. Well, we have vocal shame here. I think I don't think it's looked upon in the same way. Like even when I lived in Morocco, I'm trying to think of the places where I've lived. People sing there too, and they don't necessarily have a good voice, but it's a different kind of singing. And I think it's just so culturally ingrained that, people just sing with joy because it's a part of your,
Well, the West, again, I love where I'm from, so I don't
yeah,
want to act like there's anything wrong with here, but we do make things very competitive. So again, I can't speak to the Philippines. I didn't grow up there. I can't speak to
yeah,
Asia as a whole. I'm constantly learning new things and asking new questions and being curious about it. But I do know the West, we do like to make things into competitions. If you look at shows like American Idol and The Voice and all of
right.
these shows, we're pitting art against other art. And that's fine. And it's highly entertaining, as those shows have been around for a gazillion years. But it does put people in a different mindset. I have
Sure.
people, if I do a reaction video, I did a reaction video recently and talked about cursive singing, which is live, changing the vowels and adding and
Mm,
subtracting vowel sounds. And people in the comments, bless them, thanks for watching my content, but they'll be like, this is highly damaging to the voice, and this like stuff that I'm like, where'd you hear that? That's
mm,
that's not true, and that's weird. And I can tell that you've watched these shows and you're now an
right.
armchair expert, which the thing with singing is we all have a voice. So we all kind of are
Yes.
our own little expert. I can't tell you don't know anything about the voice. You do. You use yours every day. But when it comes into the world of singing, what do you mean that's harmful? It's harmful to change the vowels? No, it isn't.
Mm,
Where did you get this? How did this happen? So we've now created this sphere of judgment and people who believe they know things that are
mm,
kind of no, not really. Just because you don't like the sound of something doesn't mean it's bad, wrong, or dangerous, right? People are like,
that's
this is
true.
damaging. This person needs to really be careful or they're going to lose their voice. From changing the vowels? What?
Well, and there's so many
What?
different ways of singing around the world
Yes.
that are very unique and not like the way we sing here. So, yeah, I don't know. I think everybody's an armchair expert at everything nowadays. So,
Well, that's what TikTok and the internet has done. If you watch enough
yeah.
videos on dentistry, well, give me my own kit. I'm gonna open my practice.
Yeah, it's true. Can you tell me a little bit, tell the audience about your adventures in Asia recently and kind of like what you've been doing there? And I don't know, it's such an interesting experience that you've had.
Yep, it's one
And
I'm really grateful for. I have a reaction show. That's how it started, as a reaction
yeah,
show, where I initially started reacting to Chinese, Mandarin, and Cantonese singers. We have expanded into Philippines, some Filipino singers, some Korean singers, but what it has allowed me to do is learn more about different languages and cultures and instruments. And it's taught me so much about how similar we are, how we all love to love art together.
mm,
And to be quite honest, it's competitive there too. People love to pit. It's just such human nature. We love to pit art
yeah,
against art. We just do. We just do.
yeah.
But
I
it's
think
been a
we
really
always
neat
have.
process.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What do you think you've learned the most about, for instance, Chinese or Mandarin singers that is so different? Because I've heard that type of music, it's so different the way that
What's really one of the most cool things I've learned, whatever culture or language or country or whatever we've grown up in, we easily think that that's how that our taste is everybody's taste. And it's
right.
it's super not true. One of the biggest, if I had to make a really sweeping statement, and there's always, again, all kinds of shades of gray. But in a sweeping statement, people here have really valued big, bold vocals with riffs and runs and stuff like that. Whereas with Mandarin singers, they generally prefer it to be sweeter and more gentle, more subtle. And even in songwriting, it's a very different songwriting. In the West, we have really like strong, repetitive, shorter hooks. In Mandarin singing, they like really longer lines of poetry. And also, the Mandarin language is such that they will almost always write the lyrics on the screen because you need lyric reference because there's words that sound so similar. Like it's very fascinating.
Yeah, it sounds very complicated.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's neat. It's really neat.
Well, that's very cool. I think, hold on, Jen, I'm trying to think of what I was supposed to talk to you about that I've forgotten. I think we've talked about most of the things I wanted to talk about. Because, see, it's not always about business. What do you think I've
Sorry, I
forgotten
didn't really
to ask?
keep business.
No, it's not about business. I like people to talk about the things that they do. And I asked just a couple questions about business, which I did at the beginning.
Okay.
One of the things I did forget to ask is the timeline of your life. There's usually like one thing that has one or two times where something has happened that kind of changed the course of your life. I'm kind of thinking it would be would it be the TikTok thing that happened? Or would it be
Probably.
something? Yeah.
Probably, but I think that if I was even going to zoom out further, I would say that when I started writing songs when I was 14 and was able to basically present my inner thoughts to people and have them witness and relate and connect, that is when I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to be a doctor. I think I want to connect with people like this.
It's also so scary. I'm a songwriter too, and I am always terrified to release a song into the world like it's my baby. Because nobody is always going to like your stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
People have different tastes, and so it's so sensitive and so personal, at least to me, when I put something out into the world, that I almost do it without pride because I'm scared
I
of
relate to that.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I
Like,
think that, you know what makes a good musician even more predominantly than their ability is their taste. And that's the tricky
mm,
thing is for most of us, our discernment and taste is at a higher level than our ability to actually create the stuff. And that might
mm,
sound like a harsh reality, but is sort of a reality. Whether it's the time and the space and the money and the expertise that we've been able to surround ourselves with to produce that art. But those are all factors. But for people like you and I, we know what's good. And by good, I mean bass level, in tune, sound
right.
rhythm, high production value, blah, blah, blah. And then on the next level, we also know what's trending because we like what's
Mm,
trending. So when we create something, we can run it through both of those metrics. Is this in tune? Is it rhythmically sound? Is the production value good? Blah, 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 blah. But then this is the doozy. Well, this doesn't sound like Sabrina Carpenter or Ed Sheeran or Beyonce or blue, blah, 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 blah. We know that sound because we like that sound, but that doesn't mean we're
mm,
capable of making that sound. That doesn't mean that that's what
yeah,
our art is or our budget is or our
right.
access is. So we are putting out art that we actually know isn't I don't know, the thing.
Yeah. It's not like, and I think, well, for me, the other thing is I have to get it out. Like I've had
Mhm.
certain songs have sat in me half unfinished for years. And then suddenly it'll just be done. And I'll pay to go into a studio and just try to get it out because it's almost torture to keep it inside of me. It shouldn't be, but because I don't do it as a job and I don't like do it a lot,
But it should be torture. It should be torture. I think
or it
that's the
should be
best
okay.
mechanism. No. I just think you should be tortured about not putting it out because, well,
Yeah.
not you should be, but I think that
No,
that's
I
your
know what you
body's
mean.
mechanism of being like,
Mm,
if
yeah.
you weren't, you would have no burning desire and it would just sit in blah, blah, blue. So
That's
somehow
true.
your inner thing has to get you to, huh.
To
It's
push it
telling
out.
you this
Yeah.
is what you need. This is what's going to be satisfying to you. So maybe you can make that voice be a little bit more loving, but I think
Yeah.
it's an important voice.
I think I heard somebody once say, and I don't know if it was an artist or a singer, but they said they feel like sometimes, lyrics come to them. And if they don't capture them at that very moment, they fly away to somebody else or to, and that's happened to me so many times. So I have like tons of one-liners all over the place.
Me
How do you
too.
write music? How do you write your songs?
Well, I'm embarrassed a little bit to say that songwriting is something that I loved so much in the beginning, but it became really tortured for me because of
Mm,
what I actually just described. I was interacting with really great singers and I was studying the best pop music, and that's not what I was creating. So it
mhm.
felt like, oh, I don't want to create it because it's not this. As my career unfolded, songwriting got deprioritized more and more and more and more. And that's, there's there's only so many hours in a day and days in a week. And I leaned into other things. So I still love songwriting.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, I love having songs, but I'm a little
Yes.
tortured when it comes to creating them. But I did put one out today. Please go listen to
You
it. It's
did?
called Here. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to link to it. I didn't even know that, Jen. You didn't tell me. So now I know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's called Here.
Um, Here. Okay. I'm going to listen to it and I'm going to put it on the link to the podcast.
Thanks.
Well, I think we've reached the end of the podcast where I ask you a series of very simple questions that will define you for the rest of your life. So
Perfect.
there's no pressure. Yeah. All you have to do is answer the questions very quickly. First thought, it actually doesn't define you, but whatever your gut tells you. Okay? Okay, ready? Early bird or night owl?
Night owl.
Introvert or extrovert?
Introvert.
More time or more money?
No.
Type A or type ADD?
Type A1000.
Saver or spender?
No. I'm saver.
You are a saver. Workaholic or recovering workaholic?
These are hard. My people would say I'm a workaholic.
You are a workaholic. I would say that. We wouldn't. We can never work hard enough.
Correct.
That's why I'm a recovering workaholic. Adventure or relaxing?
I would like to relax into the adventures.
Things or experiences?
I would like to have things so I can do the experiences
You're
really.
really cheating. You are totally cheating. Phone call or text?
Phone call. Hashtag millennial.
Plan ahead or go with the flow?
Flow.
Hands-on or a delegator?
Touch it.
Compete or collaborate?
I'm sorry. Compete.
It's okay. Sweet or savory?
Sweet.
Quick thinker or overthinker?
Oh Lord. Over.
Done. You did it. You won. And I know they're easy, but not easy.
Well, we're also complicated. We think of ourselves as
We're
also
both of
complicated.
these things. Yeah, we're both of these things, but there's always a base. Like I am a workaholic who calls herself a recovering workaholic. So I'm both of those things.
One time I was playing a gig and I was on a set break, and somebody said to my sister, I overheard somebody say to my sister who was there with me, "Oh my gosh, what's it like being close to someone so extroverted?" And my sister was like, "Jen? Oh, she's an extrovert for pay." And I
Yes. Oh
remember
my
hearing
God.
this from like around the corner, and I was like wheezing, laughing, because I'm like, fair call.
Yeah.
I fill my cup in an introverted way. I fill my cup in small groups or
Yes.
alone or quiet times, but I do love to be connected in big ways and on the stage and touching people and
Mm.
connecting with people. But I think ultimately it's how we fill our cup. And I think I fill my cup in an introverted way.
I'm the same way. I can
Yeah.
look extroverted, and I'm surprised you said I mean, maybe I'm not, but I am surprised that you say you're an introvert just because visibly
Mm-hmm.
everything about you just is energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think of it as like, what is draining my energy? I love giving my energy and helping people, but when it's all drained, I'm not an energy vampire. I don't get my energy from stealing other people's. I need to go and reset and spend time alone. And
Well, we're givers.
Yeah,
I'm
we are
definitely a
givers.
giver and you're a
You are.
giver. We're
Yeah.
both kind of coachly in our worlds, and
Mhm.
coaching is amazing, and it's such a fulfilling, rewarding way to connect with people, but it empties the cup in a
Yeah.
beautiful way, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, I love you so much, Jenn. I appreciate what you are putting out into the world. I really think that you have a lot of sparkly magic that has touched so many lives. And I feel like, especially in my journey as a singer, just even having a little bit of time with you at the beginning of our relationship to understand my voice better, even though it's in me. It's like I get to understand me better because of something that you taught me. So I really appreciate you.
Well, I appreciate you back, and you're one sparkly MF too, and you have a beautiful voice and a beautiful heart and are so darn generous. So thank you for all you're putting out in the world too, and thank you on behalf of all of the creatives and entrepreneurs who
Mm,
you've touched. Thank you.
thanks. Listen, Bisfit, if you believe in the mission of this podcast, I need you to like and subscribe right now. Pause this, go find the podcast. You might already be there, which is easy. Just go like and subscribe. And if you really, really believe in it and you want Bisfits to unite and change the whole business world, please rate it. Rating is the best way to get the word out to attract more like-minded misfits like you and me so that we can overthrow the takers of this world who currently dominate the business universe. I know I sound like I'm some courageous lady of business. I am not. I can't do this alone and I don't want to. I need you, and we need a coalition of fellow Bisfits. So do it now. The quicker we take action, the quicker we can change our business world. Now let's go do great things, and I will see you next week.
I'm a misfit. 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 I'm a misfit.